Ho ho buddies, welcome to Borderline Games. I am Gareth and welcome to Raging Loop episode 6. I think it's 6. Last time we saw the death of the food journalist and her photography assistant, or the one that was filming with the guy that filled out the whole van. And they were both mauled to death by what appears to be werewolves. And the whole village got together and said, hey, we need to do what do they call it? I can't remember what they call it, but essentially they got together and tried to work out who was the murderer. It's essentially werewolf, where each member of the village is assigned a role similar to like werewolves. I can't remember what they're called. But they have different roles that mean that they can check, which they can check the. There's one where you can check the identity of another person, see if they're a werewolf, and those kind of things, right? Well, essentially they have those as well, and there's also ones where you can protect anybody in the party. So, from what I remember, in this game, there's a snake, and I think the snake can try and identify whether somebody else is a werewolf or not. There's a spider, and the spider can protect anybody else. And aside from that, I can't really remember the others, but essentially it's a game of werewolf, but in this story setup, right? So it's like real world werewolf, except it's a fictional story. Let's carry on. So also, the other thing is that the protagonist was decided that they weren't the werewolf, or weren't able to prepare for the coming of the werewolves. So they have today. They don't have to be judged today, so they weren't involved in the meeting. And instead, they were put in a cage, which now we've woken up from. So let's just carry on. Okay. I was woken up by several voices. He's actually sleeping. Was. Anyway. We're done for today. Sorry for the wait. Good to hear. Ugh. Oh. Unfortunately, waking up proved that this whole mess wasn't just a nightmare. So, is the feast some sort of ritual? The kind you do to ward off evil or whatever? Yeah, so I wasn't welcome to the feast, I think is what it was called, where they discuss who the werewolf is. No, it's more of a gathering. I see. So you tried to find the culprit? Haruaki-san, you don't beat around the bush, do you? Yeah, I realize I'm a real victim here. So I need information. It's a tall order to stay alive without any. Takumi-ni-chan, can I tell him about this? Yeah, better you than me. I gotta go clean up and stuff. Takumi-san walked away. Clean up? The bodies, I assume? Yeah. Taiba-chan probably won't let us off until we've sent the Yumabito to Saranaga. You're supposed to preserve the scene of a crime, right? This is doing the exact opposite. Then again, it didn't seem like anyone expected the cops to show up in the first place. Here's my first question, then. Let's take this somewhere more private. By this tree. This is... Chiemi took me to the place where I'd met Rikako Uematsu and Mieko. It was a grass field with stones littered all over. It bordered Saranaga. You could say that this is the heart of our religion. The graveyard of the Hanging Pine. Now that's a hell of a name. The place was filled with dense mist, but it was probably thinner than that of the rest of the settlement. The sunlight seemed brighter here. I could even see a bit farther. The Hanging Pine had to be the old-looking tree at the edge. Is this really a graveyard? Yes. I don't know about the ones in the actual settlement, but these stones here are all graves. Remember how you tripped on one of them? Pretty bad move, huh? Better apologize. Seriously, you should have told me sooner. Yasumitsu's ancestors, I'm so sorry. Sorry, I thought that'd scare you. I know you didn't really have a choice, but I brought you to a... Oh, I know you didn't really have a choice, but I brought you to a half-ruined village with monsters in it. You believe in monsters? There it is again. I asked, ignoring what I'd seen for myself. Yeah, I do. Shemi's voice resounded through the impossibly thick, cloudy air. I didn't think you were the type. And you're the type who's weirded out by that. I wouldn't go that far. Bullshit. I can see it all over your face. Was it that obvious? It wasn't like I found it disgusting or anything, I just didn't think I could get along with people who believe stuff like that, despite a lack of actual proof. That was probably how it was. Can I have a reason? What? I don't have one. Not sure I believe that. Well, if I do... It's because I've seen God. That was, See? You're weirded out. Tell me more. Wow. Not bailing out after all. For now, let's just focus on the immediate issue. She was hiding something. It was either that hard to explain, or a lot more important than she was acting. About this feast thing, huh? Alright then. Shiemi's explanation. Yay, I've been waiting for this. A graveyard probably wasn't the place to joke around like this, but at least you could see past your nose. And it didn't seem like we had to worry about anyone eavesdropping. I tried putting together everything Shiemi had told me. First, Fujiyushi village had a unique legend. There might have been similar ones somewhere outside, but I just treat it as Fujiyushi exclusive for the time being. The people here worshipped a god called Great Lord Shinai, the avatar of Shinai or just Shinai-san. Also, the mountain this village was on was called Mount Shinai, meaning this religion defied a mountain. Is that what it said? I'm sure that's what it said. Let's check if that's what it said. Yeah, defied, right? Anyway, sometime in the past, not known when, Shinai-san had helped the people living here by sending 5 beasts called Guardians. Okay, so the Guardians, apart from the wolf, I'm guessing, are the villagers' tools to to identify who the wolf is. So there's the snake, monkey, is that? Spider, and some kind of bird. Oops. However, just like nature could be really harsh, he had a scary side too, and if you didn't follow his laws of the mountain, he'd curse you without mercy. The Ukami-sama was the ultimate form of his cruelty. Though the Ukami-sama watched over the hunt, the Ukami-sama also oppressed, tortured, and punished humans. The other guardians, though, were largely benevolent ones. So, is this the Ukami-sama? The snake predicted the weather and harvest yields, bolstering the humans' prosperity. The monkeys defied the wolves, secretly teaching the people of fire, along with other important bits of knowledge. The crow pecked at and ate up the flesh of the Yumabito, the enemies of the Shinai-san. The spider warded off the Yumabito and ensured that the humans slept and dreamt soundly. The Yumabito did indeed mean people from Yumi, as in the land of the dead, but apparently it wasn't very clear what they actually were. But just as I'd suspected before, it was thought that they had something to do with the corruption, death, and the land of Yumi. The most likely idea was that they were dead. Hang on. that they were the dead that had returned from Yomi to bring harm to the people still alive. At the start of the legend, Shinai-san, the animals, and humans were facing the Yumabito. Apparently that was still how it was in Kamafujiyoshi, the leading part of Fujiyoshi. It was the basis of the teachings of the great Lord Shinai's religion. Thanks to that, the 5 beasts, including the Okami-sama and Shinai-san, were still worshipped there. In Yasumiso, however, things were a bit different. The legend here had a turning point where the humans, snake, monkeys, crows, and spiders cooperated to kill the Okami-sama. With the destruction of their cruel rule, the human village experienced great growth. That had been the 4 head families, who were said to have the blood of the 4 guardians in their veins. That's when they were formed, I see. The snake was Migurami, the monkeys were Higuchi, the crow was Nisato, and the spider was Uematsu. However, it didn't end there. The Ukami-sama joined the Yamabito side and became a sinister creature that wanted to bring harm to humans. The Saranaga Rapids were Yumabito territory, and the Ukami-sama appeared from there whenever the evening mists came. The Ukami-sama would then kill an inhabitant, take on their form, and act like them. But at night, they would show their true self and brutalize the real inhabitants. That was why the people of Yasumisu, who lived next to the Saranaga Rapids, had to stop them. For that, Great Lord Shinai created an event called the Feast of the Yumi Purge. Despite the name, it was no banquet, and a ritual to kill the wolf. But a ritual, I see. In the feast, the villagers were allowed to kill 1 person a day. It's just mafia. You had to basically kill your own people, something that was taboo for ages. But it was permitted here in order to rid the group of the wolf. Some humans were also given the powers of the guardians: snake, monkeys, crow, and spider. It was like a banquet of betrayal. They all drank some sake and chose someone to kill. That more or less explains everything. I see. It was a lot to unpack, but I got the gist of it. Basically, the humans betrayed the Okami-sama, one of their guardian divinities, and were still paying the price. But there were some points I didn't really get. I won't tell this to anyone else but you, but I'm pretty sure I saw the Okami-sama. No way. Where? I just took a peek through a space in the outhouse door, so I didn't get a good look. I couldn't tell her that I'd had a realistic dream where I was killed. It had a human body and the head of a wolf, I think. No way. Can I take that as he seriously saw it? Yeah, a human body and a head of a wolf head matches up with the depiction of the Okami-sama in the Shinai-san's festivals, and the defied images in Kamifujiyoshi. Before I saw it, though, I heard a woman scream, so I figured that thing killed Mamiya-san. Was that the brutalization you told me about? I mean, if it killed and replaced her, you wouldn't have her body, right? Sorry, I forgot to tell you something. Shinai-san is very strict with his laws and gives various punishments to those who break them. You mentioned something like that. Basically, they broke the rule of preparing for the feast by bathing, locking up in a room all by yourself and sleeping. So they broke the rule of preparing for the feast by bathing, locking up in a room all by yourself and sleeping. That's why it's believed they died to the corruption. I couldn't see how you could get such mutilated corpses from something called the corruption. Well, there was something more important. Because they didn't do that, is that what she's saying, yeah? Basically, you didn't tell me about the laws and turned me into Toilet Man so I could die, huh? No, 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 no. Listen, I honestly thought there was no way an outsider could survive. But I wanted to at least find a way that gave you a shot at making it through the night, because I didn't want to let you die. And look at that. I actually survived. Yeah. Sorry, but I really didn't expect this. Shame I didn't get splosh-splashed, huh? Don't be like that. I'm actually really glad you didn't die. I wasn't sure how to feel about this, but hey, at least you tried, right? So that scream really was Mamaya-san's, huh? Or was it someone who got brutalized? No, I'm not really sure. From what you told me, it's possible that that was your scream, and that the Ukami-sama already replaced you. Well, it's possible, but I know full well I'm no wolf, and that's what I'm gonna say. Oh, just like everyone else, huh? Fair point. Now this was a predicament. Question 1. Ask away. Are those marks the only proof that there are 2 wolves? I recalled the strange symbol on the large rock. The 2 warped diamonds with spirals inside. Yeah, that mark represents the Ukami-sama returning from Yomi. So since there are 2 marks, it stands to reason there are 2 wolves. So, it's speculation. Not much reason to question it, though. We have these annual mountain festivals, and there's always a guardian costume parade. The number of wolves in the parade is announced in a similar way. So it's normal for there to be multiple wolves, huh? Yeah, in Shinai-sama's shrine, for example, you have 3 wolf statues. For the festival, the Miguruma divine the number of wolves or something. The Miguruma divine the number of wolves or something. And then record the number overnight. While leaving those marks on the stones. Yeah? No. Kamafuji Yoshi doesn't have Okuba. Those stones, I mean. So they apparently draw them on the shrine grounds. Apparently. The people of Yasumisu are taught to wait for the guardians in Yasumisu, so I never saw the marks myself. So one of those marks in Kamafuji Yoshi means 1 wolf in the parade? Not exactly. The wolf sign in the Kamafuji Yoshi isn't as warped for one. The mark with the spiral and the diamond is only the sign of the wolves that come back from Yomi. It's a Yasumisu's thing. So they don't have it in Kami Fujiyoshi. I'll get these names eventually. I see, but still the number of wolves and marks match up. Yep, a 3-wolf festival is considered good luck there. Jamie herself didn't look the least bit happy to talk about it. Anyway, all I had to take from this was that there were at most three Ukami-sama wolves. I had to fix my perception of the situation. The wolves were a group of 3 werewolves. I wasn't too well versed in myths and folklore, but I certainly hadn't heard of any Japanese myth about werewolves or wolfmen. I did hear of Jin Menkin and of possession by fox spirits, but werewolves did seem like a very European thing. On the other hand, the fact that there were 3 of them seemed pretty standard. I guess it had something to do with presentation. Trinities and all that. Though the idea of 3 werewolves did seem a bit excessive in terms of content. Anyway, I now had a better grasp of the situation. That made it easier to understand what was going on here. What about the humans who got guardians? How many of them are there? 4. Oh, there's 2 monkeys. There are 2 monkeys, but only one of the rest. I see, so there are 5 guardians and 2 wolves, and the rest are humans. It's pretty bad that there's 2 wolves. Because that makes them strong. That's one reason. But you can only kill one per day, right? If there's multiple, getting them all will take more time. Oh yeah, I just realized the crow will be kind of pointless if there was only one wolf. Why? What does the crow do again? The crow's ability lets them tell whether the corpse is a wolf or human, right? That means that a wolf doesn't transform back into a wolf even when it dies. The corpse stays human. That makes the crow's power useful. You wouldn't be able to tell if a wolf was dead otherwise. Or you could get someone to kill the crow and then pretend to be the crow, couldn't you? Yeah, that's true, but what does that have to do with the number of wolves? Imagine if there was only one wolf. They killed him. What happens next? I got nothing. Exactly that. Nothing. Or, rather, the wolves won't kill any more people. Game over, humans win. Oh, I see. So if there was only one wolf, you could tell it was dead because the killings would stop. And the crow would be pointless. Exactly. Oh, I used the wrong voice. Wow, you're sharp. Well, it's not like this information is very useful. I'm still impressed by how you keep cool in this mess. You're not just some student, are you? What else could I be? A detective? Wink. I like that. I'm a famous detective who came to solve a difficult case in the countryside. Seishi's Yokomitsu's world. And you normally investigate affairs and debts. Wow, that got real quick. Anyway, I got more questions. How many people can the wolves kill per day? It'd suck if everyone got killed overnight. That won't happen. Remember the snake? They need to ask the mountain who's what. True. And the spider would be pretty useless if they just protected one human while everyone else, included them, died. This is also why I wondered if Mamiya-san and Hashimatsu-san got brutalized. Killing even 2 people would make it pretty bad. But if it was just 1 per day, or... Well, that raises another question. Why do these supernatural monsters even need to follow rules like that? Is that weird? Of course it is. Imagine if there were 3. One corpse would barely serve as a snack. I don't think they're attacking people because they're hungry. Oh, so they're just out for revenge? Not really sure, but it doesn't seem like they're doing this because they want to. I feel they have their own laws that they have to obey. That was what bothered me so much. The Feast of the Yummy Purge had rules, and breaking them would mean being taken by the corruption. Some sort of supernatural punishment from Shinai-san. If this was really just divine retribution, surely he would want the Yumabito done away with immediately. However, instead, the humans retained the aid of their guardians, and only 1 kill was permitted each day. Even the wolves couldn't break that rule. Were the laws of the mountain equally binding to both man and wolf? In Christian theology, both humans and Satan were God's creations equal before him, and all acting based on his master plan. Was the god of the mountain similarly inclined? A legend of slain wolves and their revenge. Was it really that simple? Or was there something else going on? It was quite scary. And I wanted to know all about it. I guess we should at least ask the elders. How many people are wolves killed? True. But is someone really going to die again tonight? We already got 2 casualties, and for all we know, those the wolves replaced might be dead too. Hold on. They're cleaning up the bodies, right? We've got to check them properly to see if there aren't any more than 2 bodies or anything. We've got to check them properly to see if there aren't more than 2 bodies or anything. Kanzo Shichan checked it first thing in the morning. There were only 2 people's worth of bone and guts. Which one's Kanzo? Is that the man in his 60s, maybe? Kanzo Shichan checked it first thing in the morning. Okay, cool. Huh? Really? Does he have experience doing this kind of thing? He's a hunter, so he's used to butchering animals. Oh, that makes sense. That reminds me. This is probably the most important thing. Why aren't you trying to run away and call the police? I want a straight answer to this. I honestly can't think of a better move in this situation. I was aware that people here were superstitious, but those superstitions are getting people killed. So why was not a single person objecting? We can't escape this place. Can I ask why? It's complicated, but we all know it's true. There is no way to escape this place. The mist is completely impassable. I'm not going to waste time on something I know can't be done. Have you seen it yourself, or are you just trusting what someone else said? Sorry, I can't really explain how, but I just know. Once the feast begins, no one can leave Yasumisu. So it wasn't logic, but blind conviction. Or perhaps she'd subconsciously gained that knowledge through some experience. Yeah, as if. So you have no proof, but still believe you can't escape. Yep. Everyone else would probably say the same. What are the odds that your blind faith is in something that's total bullshit? Well, higher than 0. What if I said that I, as someone overlooked by the god of the mountain, would try to leave anyway? I'd do everything I could to stop you. Even if the others allowed it. It's because they don't care if you die. That was pretty scary. So you're worried about me? More than anyone else here. More than anyone else here. Thanks. I can just feel the love. Love? She was going all red on me now. This seems to be taking it pretty far for an act. No, I just have a conscience. The others here don't, then? Well, you should know that they're way colder to outsiders than they appear. I'm kind of an outsider myself, so I can relate to your situation. You go on a road trip with someone just based on that? Hey, that might have been our final farewell in this life, so I wanted to make it nice. You only agreed because you felt sorry for me. Don't think you can get out of your promise this easily. Wow. How do I respond to that? Oh, but wait, your bike's broken. If it's for a date, I'll take out a loan on a new one. A date? I guess it is, but wait, you'll take out a loan while you're still in school. Besides, don't promise promises like that usually end up with someone dying. Let's worry about that after we survive. Shit. First she was all over me and now she's playing hard to get. In normal circumstances, that'd be kind of fun, but right now she was the only one I could rely on. The emotional support would have been nice. Back to the whole police thing. Really, you can't expect much from them here. Because it's supernatural. Well, that's one reason, but we also have just one officer in Kami Fujiyoshi. And Kami Fujiyoshi wants nothing to do with what happens here in Yasumisu. You know, I've been thinking. Spot on. I hadn't even said anything yet. Yep, Yasumisu is basically the local settlement for those who were ostracized. She really did guess what I was going to say. Ostracism. Ostracism. In ancient times, villages of 10 punished criminals and the like by ostracizing them. They were ignored and excluded from all social welfare aid. Basically, people were excluded from the larger group and treated coldly. It was one step away from banishment. It wasn't just emotional torment either. Back in those days, not getting the help of other people was a matter of life and death, making this quite a harsh punishment. Did you all do something? Most of us did nothing. The Makishima, Yamawaka, and Moro families have been here for generations. Can you keep a secret? Sure. Kawari Orobi-san was originally an outsider who married into the Higuchi family, but her husband messed up somewhere down the line and died. Oh, okay. That's the mother that we saw. That keeps on trying to give us food. I hear she was forced to move here with Yasukun, who was still very little. Well, that wasn't a pleasant story. I'd heard ostracism still survived even in this day and age. Some rural groups would brazenly cut off your gas or water supplies if you didn't fit in. Then again, neighbours in cities had their own communication problems. Basically, humans really didn't change much over the years. Still, ostracism because of family troubles. In this day and age, it seems so weird, ugly, and behind the times. Then there's Moki. He was the Nosato family's heir apparent. Okay, guy's an actual blue blood. Huh? Really? Yeah. He and Kiyonosuke-san are uncle and nephew. I wish that there was a. There isn't a thing with every character, is there? Nope. I'm just gonna have to struggle. They were nothing alike. Moki's a bit weird, though. So he was put up for adoption and sent to Yasumisu. So is Kiyonosuke she? Who is that? Okay, whatever. Oh yeah, Kiyonosuke she had said something like that. Gee, what century did they think it was? What about you? I did an oopsie. Did you used to be a bit wild? You don't like that? Nope, I'm actually into that. Wow, you really go all in, don't you? With her pulling hit and runs, I really had no choice. Anyway, this place was basically abandoned. I couldn't expect any outside help. Any outside help. And everyone here believed they couldn't escape this place due to supernatural reasons. What were my options here? I mean, if I do this, then something bad happens, surely. If I leave this and something bad happens, then I might get another key, though. Let's leave. It was probably best to just leave before I got too deep into this, and while it was still bright out. Being left out of the feast hardly guaranteed my safety. I couldn't expect anyone to lead me out, but dropping dead in the middle of nowhere seemed better than getting eaten alive here. After making my decision, I wrapped up my conversation with Shiemi, and we returned to her room. She gave me some cup ramen, and it looked like she wouldn't tell me why she hadn't let me eat the dining hall's food until I asked. I didn't want to go any deeper into this than I already was, so I didn't ask. During lunch, Shiemi went to the bathroom. That was my chance. I took out a notepad, quickly wrote "sorry I'm leaving" on it, took my stuff and left the room. Using the mist to my advantage, I passed the inhabitants and headed to the upper parts of the settlement. Alright, I got to the entrance to the mountain path. The road was unpaved and sided by two giant boulders, reminiscent of a torii without a top. I could see why everyone was afraid to go beyond this point. The humid mountain forest looked both gloomy and scary. But walking further seemed far less risky than staying in this settlement. I walked ahead, and soon had to stop. The road was ruined. A car would have been useless here. So this was why Mamiya-san and Hashimoto-san couldn't leave yesterday and had to spend the night in the van. However, I wasn't exactly heavy, so getting past this was easy. I had no idea why obstacles like this were enough to hold back video game characters. You could easily walk around it. Holy shit. Though they could have it worse. There was that one game where there was both an obstacle and an impassable cliff-like mist. Is that Silent Hill we're talking about? Anyway, I kept on walking. Most of the ground here was covered in dead leaves, ferns, and moss, making it really slippery. I supported myself by holding onto nearby saplings, but I ended up breaking a few branches. This mountain seemed completely untouched. Fujiyoshi's people clearly didn't do any forestry. I came across a very steep slope. Climbing up was impossible. I'd come this far avoiding slopes and following the road. But before I knew it, I'd lost sight of the road. It wasn't all that smart, but I decided to keep going up. Logic told me that I'd be closer to Kame Fujiyoshi the higher I got. Seriously, what was up with this mist? I couldn't see anything ahead of or behind me. I felt like I was swimming through rice water. I felt like I was swimming through rice water. Or perhaps milk jelly. It seemed like it was heavier than air and too dense to breathe in. I felt like it would congeal around me the moment I stopped moving. What was I thinking? This was reality, and this was just a mist. I walked up the desolate slope and kept walking. I had to constantly remind myself that this was just a mist, and this was nothing but reality. I had no idea what happened in the end. Game over. Bad ending number 4. Watch hint corner. Sure. Let's have a chat with the sheep. Hey, you've done it now, sheep? Let's get the hint out of the way and move right on to the next one. I thought I might get a key out of that, but I guess I didn't. And ending number 4, mysterious death in the forest. Just like the rules say, it seems you can't flee Yasumisu. I don't know why that is, but you probably wouldn't have believed it for yourself unless you tried it once, would you? Well, Haruaki Fusayashi can just redo things after he dies. For good or for ill, he can retry as much as he wants until he gets it. If you want to go forward, just go back to 3 Yummy Q leave Yasumisu. And pick the other choice. Well, that's enough for this time. Die another arty death next time. Guess it was just a dream. Right. Do better next time. 1 sheep, 2 sheep. Just a dream. Alright, so chart. Well, I think that we're going to leave it there for this episode of Raging Loop. Disappearance, I see. And we will see you next time on Borderline Games, where we do some more Raging Loop. I guess we're going to see the reason why Shiemi has been keeping us away from all the food in the village. But until then, have a good evening. Bye-bye.